The Quarantine Chronicles continue. I'm Sid Cixero. He is Tim McAuliffe. True story, prior to coming on, because it's hashtag Wear Red Friday in support of everyone out in Nova Scotia and RCMP and Nova Scotia and across the country. Tim and I can see each other for the purposes of putting stuff on social media later. We were both wearing Team Canada soccer gear simultaneously. And I thought it was phenomenal, Tim. But you changed, Timmy. You didn't have to change. Yes. Yes. Show the world, Timmy. Allez le rouge. How you doing, brother?
So for those on radio wondering what the hell's going on, Sid and I are looking at each other, and we literally hook up on this Zoom feed as we're about to do the show about a minute and a half before we go to air. And I had my Canada soccer jersey on. He had his Canada soccer jersey on. But I also had a sweater, so I changed back, and I undid the sweater for Cixero, and he was happy to see.
I'm glad you had it. I thought you had a quick wardrobe change in a phone booth, but thank God you're wearing number 9.
I don't have the new Nike gear. I'm glad you don't have the new Nike gear either.
No,
this was bad.
This was when Umbro hooked us up back in the day, 1-4, during the World Cup campaign of that year. Timmy, do I have a nicer kitchen than Bill Belichick? In your humble opinion? Because it is the topic that the draft is the draft last night, and the second thing everybody is talking about are people's homes and the rooms and the sight lines and who swagged out and who was a D-bag about it and who undersold it greatly. Do I have a nicer kitchen than Bill Belichick?
I don't know. He had what looked to be his window coverings were exceptional. Outside that, I believe, and the large kitchen table that he was sitting at, I believe, better than yours. Other than that, you may have a better kitchen. Now, we didn't get the full glimpse of his kitchen, and for those wondering what the hell we're talking about, you can now go at Tim and Sid on Twitter. We have posted a tweet for everyone to peruse. Which draft room caused you to pause the most last night and why? One of them is Belichick's kitchen, and Rocco wrote in and said, all were amazing. Belichick clearly the greatest. He doesn't give a bleep about his house either. He just cares about winning. So the nominees, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Sid, because I did do this on my own with our digital producer, Matt Morgan. The nominees were Belichick alone in his kitchen, Cliff Kingsbury, and whatever the hell kind of house that he has bought himself in Arizona that looks like some sort of hotel that he shacked up in.
That's the house where, like, in an episode of Narcos, when you meet the Cali cartel,
right? When
you first run into them, that's the house. Mm-hmm. I know it's a different decade, but all I could think of was, and I don't want to get in trouble. Like, I'm not meaning to get in trouble. Drug lord. That's all I could think of. The guy's got a fire pit in his backyard, looking towards the mountains in Scottsdale. I'm assuming that was Scottsdale. Like he had the one computer setup, which was kind of pimp.
Stop. The fire pit outside the floor-to-ceiling windows in what looks like a 12-foot high ceiling, at least. It's probably more than 12 feet high as I look down at it right now. The fire pit is lit. And I'm not saying that as the kids say.
Everything's lit about it.
They actually had the fire pit going so that you could see it in the shot. Would it surprise you, Sydney, that Cliff Kingsbury is dating an Instagram model?
I'd be disappointed if he wasn't. or Tim, is she dating an Instagram model? Who's dating the Instagram model in this relationship? Let's be honest here.
The other two nominees were Mike Vrabel and his family, and Jerry Jones in his, and I'm not kidding about this, $250 million yacht. His $250 million yacht in which he conducted at least his part of the draft for the Dallas Cowboys.
Mike Vrabel's place looked like a frat house at 2:15 in the morning. It had it all. Guy dressed up as the Freeze from the Atlanta Braves games, Tim. That's what he was dressed up as, right? The Freeze.
I think so. I believe so. I couldn't make heads from tails, and I'm not trying to make a joke, but we'll get to that.
Super white trash dude on the right. You had Vrabel himself with some chewing tobacco. He was just spitting constantly, looking at results. He was ignoring what was going on around him. The daughter, I would assume, the daughter just realizing, taking it all in, just howling at all of this. Right. And someone taking a dump in the back that I didn't realize was going on last night, but I was enlightened to today.
So if you're listening on radio, please go to our Twitter account so you can look at this picture. Is it really a dude taking a deuce? Like there's a reflection off a window.
It's not playing poker.
And, either he's sitting on the couch with just shorts on, and that's the reflection, or there's a door open and guys deuce Ray. Like
there's
this
a
is
pose,
deuce
man.
Ray.
There's a pose, right?
No, but it's the same pose. Okay, tell me about your pose. When your feet fall asleep, what happens?
Leaning forward, looking at the phone. That's the pose. That's what that kid is doing, is he not?
We all know that's gross, eh? When fecal matter is coming out of you and you hold a phone within like 3 feet of the fecal matter, we all know that's gross.
I'm clean, all right? Don't even start with that.
Yeah. Your deuce is clean.
Listen,
right.
I took medical advice last night, and I drank disinfectant. So I'll be fine, Tim. You don't worry about me. Don't worry about me.
I don't even feel comfortable joking about that, to be honest.
Yeah, I shouldn't have. It's a scary-ass story. It's not funny
at all. Is that not the
it's
same pose that kids use just to read their phone right now?
Listen, if that's the development...
If you're sitting on the couch, is that not the same pose?
If this is the human being development that took place with posture, then I'm in the wrong. But you're telling me in that room, you're ruling that out. We got a guy looking like the Freeze, a guy... looking like he just walked out of the woods. Mike Vrabel is downing chewing tobacco. You are ruling out that a door would be ajar and a reflection of a kid having a moment is completely out of the realm of possibility. Give me a break, McCallum.
It tastes like a fart.
That's a quick pull.
So careful with your words at this juncture in time. I am going to rule on this and say it's a deuce.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Don't make me feel crappy about it. That's exactly what
So the Vrabels are carnivores. Jerry Jones is on some weird sort of flex that only Jerry Jones could possibly flex with, right? Like, when you first saw the picture of him sitting on this white couch with two orbs behind him, you thought he's in some sort of cryogenic freezing module that he had placed into his house. And then people explained that it was a $250 million yacht, and it all became evident. Jerry Jones, afraid of coronavirus, took his yacht out on the water, said, "Bleep humanity, I'm out."
Are you saying Ted Williams was going to make an appearance at some point here in this?
Ted Williams' head floats into the equation.
Yeah. And the guy who invented
Don't forget
Disney?
about me.
I thought he was in space. It looked like he was in space the first time I saw him. I thought he was in space. I thought it was a scene out of Contact with Jodie Foster. Remember the movie Contact? Nobody likes Contact. I actually like Contact.
I like Contact, Cicero.
Oh, I like Contact. You know what I'm saying?
I miss it too.
It was
not because I'm married. I mean, because
story.
I don't get to hug anybody anymore. I just don't jump to
that's
conclusions.
What you're saying. Yes, that's
right.
what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't get to see Sid.
Where do you get the impression that I would want a hug from you in this day and age?
No, I mean, I miss it.
You're right. No, I'd want a hug. I'll take a hug from McAuliffe and anybody. You're right.
You'd
You're
take
right.
a hug from
I'm in the
anyone
wrong
these days.
I'd take a hug, even like from Dylan Brown. Dylan, how you? Dylan, would you hug me if we saw each other? Audio engineer of the show for basically every day of the last 6 weeks. If I saw you and hugged you, would you accept it?
Sure, why not?
Right now?
Well, that's
no, you wouldn't.
No,
You'd
not
get
right
the
now.
Heisman.
It's a rousing yes from Dylan Brown. By the way, I
But
spelled
when
Dylan's
when it's
name.
all said and done.
What's all said and done, Tim? I spelt his name wrong in an email earlier today. After 6 weeks, is that disrespectful? Or considering the context of the situation, should Dylan Brown care if I misspell his name? Because Jeff Azzopardi, a Sportsnet booker, got his long nose all up in a bunch about it. And I didn't think it was that big a deal.
His long nose. If you know Sid Cicero, his ability to spell is... And listen...
It's not good. It's not good.
Listen, this is a Pot calling, hey, Pot, here's your kettle. Cicero makes me look like I'm in the National Spelling Bee. Like he couldn't spell Sid.
You sit in a sentence.
Sid can't spell.
But he did have
Dylan,
to type my name for the email first to get my email address.
What do you
No,
care
that's
how I
incorrect.
get there?
He just put D in and then it auto-filled Dylan.
So it was
And your
written
last
right
name.
above there. Sid could see how it's spelled, and he still misspelled it.
Yeah.
We're avoiding the issue. We're avoiding the issue. Your name
What
is
is the
spelled
issue?
incorrectly to begin with.
No, it's
spelled-
not.
No,
it's
your
not.
name is technically Dylan Brown. That's what your name is.
Dylon.
Thank you. It's not Dylan Brown. I know how to spell Dylan. I've seen plenty of Dylans. Brendan Dillon, etc. Your name is spelled Dylon.
No, it's
Don't
not.
don't Lan.
There you go.
Dylon.
Dave writes in and says, Jones' $250 million yacht wins, not even close. Maybe a battle for number 2. Then again, Tennessee wins with a guy actually making a number 2.
Grab the board, man. Cliff Kingsbury wins, though. I don't know what. This is not even a debate to me. Kingsbury wins. He wins. It's over, and he's not wearing socks on top of it. It's like it's like the D-bag perfecta.
Perfecta,
Like-
trifecta.
Perfecta. We're making up terms.
WC wrote in and said, I never thought I'd say this, but Belichick seems to be the most relatable guy of the bunch. Jones and Kingsbury have way too much money, and who drops a deuce with the door open and people in close proximity? By the way, WC, you left out, oh yeah, we're also on national TV. Sorry, international TV.
International TV. 15 million people
International
watched
TV.
that yesterday. 15 million people watched that in the States last night.
Brian Leach writes in and says, thank you guys for ruining my lunch. By the way, it looks wonderful, Brian. He's got tomatoes.
Oh, he's got a
on
picture?
toast
Let me see
with
the picture.
avocado on top. Oh,
Let me
looks
see this.
wonderful. Charlie writes in and says, Vrabel wins,
terrible.
and not because of the room, because of cousin Cletus in the number 50 back there.
I mean, well, you had Fubar standing there for no reason. I don't know what he was doing.
Too far.
Like, I don't know what he was
For those
doing.
who haven't seen it, blonde mullet, pure mullet, like ironic mullet, I think,
It was awful.
dyed
It was awful.
with a mustache, the 50 jersey rolled up so you could see what looked to be Cicero-like pipes hanging out of the jersey. It was scrumtrolescent in every way, shape, or form. Okay, so once we've gotten past who wins the best situation, and listen, Rich Gannon is going to join us. Andrew Brandt is going to join us. We're going to talk a lot about the first round of the draft and look forward to what might be an interesting second night, at least for Canadians in the NFL draft. Who won the draft? What was the biggest story? Where do we need to go first? Is it Jordan Love? Is it the Green Bay Packers trading up to select what appears to be the heir apparent for Aaron Rodgers just after Aaron Rodgers won 13 games with a team that we didn't think could win 13 games?
It was kind of a chalk draft until Jordan Love went, right? Like it went kind of to plan. Tim, the number one story was how the Packers did this, and they didn't give Aaron Rodgers much of a heads up from the sound of it. And we still have not heard after the fact from Aaron Rodgers, which is incredible. By the way, today's the anniversary of Aaron Rodgers' draft day. Today.
I heard today that they had still not talked to Aaron Rodgers as of about 4 hours ago.
Wow. Wow. How pissed should Aaron Rodgers be? I feel like that's kind of the question today.
I have a friend who says, never forget how you get in. And his reference was to your partner. And if you got in through means where it was love at first sight and you guys knew that you found your soulmate, then it'll probably last. And if you got in because she was cheating on her husband, or you were cheating on your wife or your girlfriend, then those kind of things tend to come up again. So Aaron Rodgers was a first-round pick while Brett Favre was the starter, and he replaced him. There are different people in and around Green Bay these days than were there when Aaron Rodgers fell into their laps. But if you got your job in a similar fashion, can you really bitch and moan about someone coming in the exact same way you came in? Because that's what's happening here. Do I think it's fair? Probably not. But don't forget how you got in.
It's business. What's not fair about it? Aaron Rodgers going to play another 15 years?
No.
What's not fair about it?
What's not fair is that he won 13 games last year, and they could probably use a skill guy to go with him.
Who's to say they're not going to get skill guys in rounds 2 and 3 tonight? I don't know.
That's the part of this
His point
draft
was first round. His point was first round. I understand the point he was making, but
right.
It's not like
that's the part of all of this, and we'll break it down. We'll chop it up with Rich Grant and Andrew Brandt. That's the part of all of this is that you got one round, and people are already drawing conclusions. The only conclusions you can draw are the Miami Dolphins, who had 3 picks in that first round. You could probably figure out that they won the first round by sheer volume alone, and they got Tua.